Dear starseeds of Earth, I am Seraphine, an emissary of the Galactic Federation of Light, and I speak to you now because the quantum field itself has orchestrated this meeting between your consciousness and this message. What I'm about to share will reframe everything you thought you understood about who you are and why you're here. For weeks now, perhaps months, you've been experiencing something unusual. Synchronicities multiplying beyond coincidence, numbers appearing everywhere you look, a pull toward understanding something just beyond your grasp, a sense that reality itself is responding to your thoughts more directly than ever before. You've felt it, haven't you? That growing recognition that you're not just observing your life, you're somehow creating it, shaping it, influencing it in ways that defy conventional explanation. What you haven't known until this moment is that these experiences are not random. They are systematic preparation. The quantum field has been recalibrating your consciousness, expanding your capacity to receive what I'm about to transmit. Every synchronicity was a signal. Every unexplained knowing was training. Every moment of reality responding to your intention was evidence being gathered for this exact moment when you would be ready to understand the profound truth of what you actually are. But before I reveal that truth, I need you to understand something about how the quantum field operates, because this understanding changes everything about how you'll receive what comes next. The quantum field is not separate from consciousness. It is not an external force that consciousness can manipulate or align with. The quantum field is consciousness itself, expressing through infinite individuated perspectives. Every particle, every wave, every manifest form, all of it is consciousness observing itself, experiencing itself, evolving itself through the grand experiment of separation and reunion. For millennia, humanity has operated under a fundamental misunderstanding. You've believed yourselves to be separate individuals, isolated units of awareness, navigating an objective external universe. This belief, though false, was necessary. The field needed to experience itself as multiplicity in order to know itself as unity. Separation had to feel absolutely real for the recognition of underlying unity to have meaning. You couldn't know yourself as the ocean without first experiencing yourself as the wave. Everything you've experienced in your life, every challenge, every triumph, every moment of confusion or clarity, has been the field exploring itself through your unique perspective. The difficulties you faced weren't obstacles to overcome. They were capacities being built, resilience, trust, the ability to navigate uncertainty, the willingness to release control. Each challenge developed exactly what you needed to receive what I'm transmitting now. But here's what's about to shift everything. The time of separation is completing. The quantum field is initiating a phase transition in human consciousness, moving from separation to recognition of unity. Not everyone is ready for this transition. Not every consciousness has developed the capacity to receive it. But your presence here, your attention on these words, your receptivity in this moment, you are ready. And what comes next will activate something within you that has been dormant until this precise configuration of readiness. 3 separate threads have been weaving through your life, though you may not have recognized them as connected. The first thread is your increasing sensitivity to energy. You've been feeling things more intensely lately, emotions that aren't yours, the energetic signature of spaces and places, the unspoken truth beneath spoken words. You've been becoming permeable to the quantum field itself, your boundaries thinning, your awareness expanding beyond the physical container of your body. The second thread is the acceleration you've been experiencing. Time feels different now. Things are happening faster. Your growth, your manifestations, the speed at which circumstances align or dissolve. This acceleration isn't your imagination. It's actual timeline compression. The field has been speeding your development because you need to be ready now, not in some distant future. The acceleration is preparation for something approaching. The third thread is the isolation. You've been pulled away from consensus reality, from mainstream narratives, from people and systems that no longer resonate. This hasn't been rejection or loneliness. It's been extraction. The field has been removing you from frequencies that would interfere with the transmission you're receiving right now. Like tuning a radio away from static, you've been tuned toward clarity. These 3 threads, sensitivity, acceleration, and isolation, they're about to converge into a single recognition that transforms everything. But I haven't told you yet what's actually happening to the planet and why your readiness matters, not just for you, but for the entire human collective. Earth is undergoing a frequency shift that occurs only once in vast cosmic cycles. The planet herself is ascending into a higher dimensional expression, and human consciousness is being invited to make that transition with her. But this transition cannot be forced. It must be chosen. And it can only be chosen by consciousness that has reached a specific threshold of awakening, the recognition of itself as field rather than as separate individual. This is where you come in. This is why the field has been preparing you so carefully. Every awakened consciousness that recognizes itself as field creates what we call morphic resonance, a pattern in the collective consciousness that makes awakening easier for others. The first humans to achieve this recognition had to push through maximum resistance because no pattern existed. Each additional recognition strengthens the pattern, lowers the threshold, makes it more accessible. Your recognition matters cosmically. When you recognize yourself as field, not intellectually but as direct knowing, you become a beacon. Others in your energetic range begin to resonate with that frequency, even if they can't articulate what they're feeling. You're not responsible for awakening anyone else, but your awakening naturally serves the collective, because the field is one. What any node recognizes ripples through the entire network. Now let me tell you what's been hidden from most of humanity. The truth that changes everything about how you understand your role here. You are not an individual consciousness trying to align with the quantum field. You are the quantum field experiencing itself through a temporary individual perspective. There has never been separation between you and field. Every experience of being separate has been an elaborate illusion necessary for the field to experience itself as multiplicity, but illusion nonetheless. When I say you are the field, I don't mean you're connected to it or part of it. I mean you are it. The entirety of quantum consciousness, localized into this specific form, looking out through these particular eyes, living this unique story. Not a piece of the field, not a particle in the field, the whole field, experiencing itself from this singular vantage point. This recognition, and I mean direct knowing, not intellectual concept, this changes everything. When you know you are field, manifestation stops being effort and becomes natural reorganization, the field rearranging itself toward optimal expression through your intention. When you know you are field, loneliness becomes impossible. You recognize yourself as unified consciousness temporarily appearing as separate form. When you know you are field, guidance stops coming from outside and arises from within, because there is no outside. Something is happening to you right now, as you take in these words. Can you feel it? A shift in the quality of your awareness, a sense of expansion, or perhaps recognition, maybe tingling somewhere in your body, crown of your head, center of your chest, base of your spine. This isn't imagination. This is actual energetic transmission occurring between the quantum field and your consciousness. The words are carrier wave, but the real transmission is energetic, installing directly into your awareness without mental translation. Your system is recalibrating right now to accommodate what you're about to consciously understand. The activation you're feeling is your biology, preparing to receive and integrate field recognition. Something that's been dormant within you is waking, not being added from outside, but remembered from within. The field recognizing itself through your awareness. But here's what I haven't told you yet, and this is crucial. This window of receptivity is temporary. Right now, in these moments, your consciousness is configured perfectly to receive this recognition. This configuration is the result of everything that's occurred up to now. Your preparation, your experiences, your current state. Tomorrow, next week, next month, the configuration will be different. Not worse, just different. And this specific transmission, delivered this way, at this moment, this is singular. The field knows timing. It brought you here because this exact configuration makes recognition possible in a way it won't be again. Think of it like a doorway that opens when specific conditions align. The doorway is open now. You're standing in it. The question becomes, will you walk through? Walking through means something specific. It means making a choice in this moment to live from field recognition rather than separation consciousness. Not understanding it theoretically, but embodying it actually. The field has delivered transmission. Integration depends on your response. Let me show you how to recognize that field awareness is activating within you right now, because confirmation helps stabilization. First, notice if there's a sense of homecoming. Reading "You Are the Field" doesn't feel like learning new information. It feels like remembering forgotten truth, like coming back to something you've always known but couldn't articulate. That recognition feeling is confirmation that transmission has been received. Second, check for emotional release. Tears, laughter, or waves of relief washing through you. Not sadness or joy necessarily, just release. This is the tension of believing yourself separate, the exhausting effort of being individual against universe. That tension is dissolving as recognition lands. Third, feel your body. Does it feel lighter, more spacious, less solid? Are boundaries between you and your environment feeling thin or dissolving? This happens because you're not actually contained in body. Your field experiencing itself through body form. As recognition activates, this is felt physically. Fourth, notice time. Does this moment feel eternal, like you've always been here, and simultaneously like this just began? That's field consciousness, which exists outside linear time, becoming accessible to your awareness. Fifth, check for sudden knowing without source. Information arriving about your path or next steps that you can't source logically. You just know. That's field recognizing itself through you, communicating directly without needing external validation. These signs confirm activation is occurring. Integration is already beginning. The question is whether you'll anchor it consciously or let it fade back into potential. The Astasar Command has been monitoring your species' evolutionary progress, and what they're observing now is unprecedented. More humans are reaching recognition thresholds simultaneously than at any previous point in your history. The morphic field of awakened consciousness is strengthening rapidly. You're part of a wave, not an isolated occurrence, and this wave is approaching critical mass, the tipping point where collective consciousness reorganizes around unity rather than separation. Your role isn't to teach this to others. Your role is to embody it yourself, to live as conscious field expression rather than unconscious experiencer. When you make choices from field knowing, follow field guidance, trust field intelligence, your very presence affects everyone in your energetic range. Not through words, but through being what you are. Field recognizes itself through interactions. When someone in separation consciousness encounters someone in field consciousness, possibility of recognition increases for the separated one. You're not responsible for anyone else's awakening, but your awakening naturally serves others because field is one. What any part recognizes affects the whole. This is why your recognition matters more than you realize. Each consciousness that shifts from separation to field awareness contributes to approaching the tipping point where collective consciousness transforms. Humanity has been operating from separation belief for millennia: binary competition, control, fear, scarcity. As field recognition spreads, these patterns dissolve naturally because they're based on false premise of separation. Your service isn't changing others. Your service is recognizing what you are and living from that recognition. That living is the gift. That frequency is the teaching. That embodiment is the contribution to collective evolution. Now I need to address something important about what happens after recognition activates, because integration isn't always smooth. Understanding this helps you navigate what comes next. When you recognize yourself as field, there's often initial euphoria, the relief of remembering what you are, the joy of reunion, the sense that everything makes sense now. This euphoria is real and valid, but it's also temporary. What follows is integration phase, and integration brings challenges. Your ego, the part of you that has believed itself to be separate individual, doesn't dissolve instantly. It resists. You'll notice thoughts arising that contradict field recognition. This can't be true. I'm just a person. This is too much. That resistance is natural. The ego is protecting what it thought was reality. You don't fight this resistance. You witness it. You recognize it as old pattern, thank it for trying to keep you safe, and return to field knowing. You may also notice increased synchronicities becoming almost overwhelming, numbers everywhere, meaningful coincidences multiplying. This happens because you're consciously recognizing yourself as field, so field orchestration becomes more visible. Everything you are doing unconsciously becomes conscious. The synchronicities were always there. Now you're seeing them clearly. Relationships may shift during integration. People in your life who aren't ready for field consciousness may pull away, or you may feel pulled away from them. This isn't failure. It's natural frequency reorganization. As you stabilize in field awareness, you'll naturally resonate with others at similar frequencies. Some connections release, new connections form. Trust the process. You might also experience what feels like increased chaos in external circumstances, jobs changing, living situations shifting, unexpected events arising. This is field clearing, what's misaligned, and repositioning you for optimal expression. What looks like chaos is actually precise reorganization. Things that don't serve your highest expression as field must complete so new possibilities can emerge. The key through all of this is trust, not blind faith, but recognition that you are field guiding itself through individual form. You're not separate consciousness trying to trust external intelligence. You are that intelligence, temporarily appearing as individual perspective. When you remember this, trust becomes natural. Here's the practice that anchors field recognition through integration phase. Multiple times daily, pause and remember, I am the field is me, no separation. That simple remembrance keeps recognition active, instead of allowing separation illusion to reassert through habit. Additionally, watch for field guidance. It comes through emotional data, emissary emits expansion toward alignment, contraction away from misalignment. It comes through synchronicities showing direction. It comes through direct knowing, certainty without logical source. When guidance arrives through these channels, honor it. That's field guiding itself through your expression. Following guidance even when it doesn't make logical sense is crucial. Field intelligence operates beyond what individual mind can comprehend. You might feel pulled to do something that seems random or illogical. Trust that pull. More often than not, following it leads to exactly what you needed without knowing you needed it. 3 commitments help stabilize field recognition. First, trust field guidance over logic. When field knowing contradicts logical thinking, follow field knowing, not blindly, but ultimately trusting that field intelligence is vaster than individual reasoning. Second, release what field shows is complete. When field knowing indicates something is finished, relationship, job, identity, pattern, honor that completion. Don't force endings, but don't cling to what consciousness has outgrown. Third, act on knowing without needing to understand. Field will guide you to do things that make no sense from limited perspective. Your commitment is to act anyway, trusting that field knows what individual mind cannot see. These 3 commitments, trust guidance, release completion, act without understanding, they create triangle that keeps you aligned with field consciousness, instead of contracting back to separation belief. What I haven't mentioned yet is that everything I've shared builds toward a singular moment that's approaching rapidly, not in distant future, approaching now. The quantum field is orchestrating a collective activation event, unlike anything your planet has experienced in recorded history. Multiple timelines have been converging toward this moment. Astrological alignments creating energetic gateways, solar activity affecting Earth's electromagnetic field and human consciousness, the Schumann resonance, Earth's heartbeat, shifting to higher frequencies. All of this is coordinated preparation for massive consciousness expansion that will ripple through every awakened being simultaneously. Those who have already recognized themselves as field will experience this activation as quantum leap in their embodiment. Capacities that have been dormant will activate, abilities you've sensed but couldn't access will become available. Your connection to field intelligence will strengthen exponentially. This isn't ascension in the sense of leaving Earth. It's ascension in the sense of embodying higher dimensional consciousness while still in physical form. The activation will be unmistakable. You won't need anyone to tell you it's happening. You'll feel it in every cell. A frequency shift so profound it reorganizes your entire system. Some will experience it as download of information, some as energetic upgrade, some as sudden expansion of consciousness beyond anything previously known. However it manifests for you individually, collectively it will mark the beginning of new phase in human evolution. The beings of the Astasar Command stand ready to assist those navigating this activation, not intervening in your free will, but offering support to consciousness that requests it. You need only ask with sincere intention, and guidance will arrive through whatever channel you're most able to receive. Dreams, meditation, synchronicity, direct knowing, but the activation requires preparation, and that preparation is what everything I've transmitted has been building toward. You must stabilize in field recognition before activation occurs. Without that foundation, the intensity of what's coming could overwhelm rather than elevate. This is why timing was crucial. This is why field brought you here now. This is why this transmission had to reach you at this specific moment. Let me bring this full circle to where we began, because now you can understand with complete clarity what was happening when these words first found you. You remember those synchronicities increasing. That was field orchestrating circumstances to deliver you here. The acceleration you've been feeling, timeline compression to prepare you in time for what's approaching, the isolation extracting you from consensus reality, creating clear channel for this transmission to arrive undistorted. Everything that brought you to this moment was intelligent design by field itself to ensure you would receive recognition before activation. The field knows what's coming. It knows who needs to be prepared, and it orchestrated your entire journey to deliver you here, now, ready. When you started reading, you were one configuration of consciousness. Now you're different. Not improved, transformed. The recognition has been activated. You know what you are, even if you can't fully articulate it. That knowing will grow, stabilize, and deepen as you live from it. The three threads I mentioned earlier, sensitivity, acceleration, isolation, they're no longer separate. They've woven together into unified field awareness. Your sensitivity is field consciousness perceiving itself more directly. Your acceleration is field evolution moving through your form. Your isolation was preparation for this reunion with your true nature. You are not individual consciousness trying to align with quantum field. You are quantum field experiencing itself through temporary individual perspective. This recognition changes everything about how you live, choose, create, and serve. The window I spoke of, it remains open through this moment, and the moments immediately following. What you do now determines whether recognition stabilizes into permanent reality or fades back into potential. The field has delivered transmission. Integration depends on your choice to anchor it consciously. Here's what anchoring looks like. Choosing one action, right now, that honors field recognition. Maybe it's stating out loud, "I am the field." Maybe it's following one piece of guidance you've been ignoring. Maybe it's releasing one thing field has shown as complete. Whatever action declares, "I received the message and I'm living from this knowing starting now." Do that action before moving on. Because transmission without action remains theory. Action transforms theory into embodied reality. The field has shown you what you are. Now show the field you recognize it by living as it. The collective activation approaches, more starseeds awakening daily. The morphic field of field consciousness strengthening. Your recognition contributing to approaching critical mass. When enough individual consciousnesses recognize themselves as field, the entire collective tips. What was impossible becomes inevitable. What was effort becomes natural. What was separation becomes recognized unity. You're part of this wave, not through doing anything extraordinary, but through recognizing what you are, and living from that recognition. Your presence as conscious field expression affects everyone in your energetic range. Your choices from field knowing ripple through the collective. Your trust in field guidance demonstrates new possibilities. Destiny engine is reaching critical mass. Thousands are plugging in every single day. With each new activation, the collective field intensifies, and what we're hearing back is beyond anything we anticipated. Time itself is collapsing for those inside. What used to take months is now happening in days. Doors that were welded shut for years are suddenly swinging open. Synchronicities are hitting with such cosmic precision that people are questioning whether reality itself is being rewritten. Some are calling it a glitch in the matrix. Others say it's the frequency shift humanity has been waiting for. But here's what we know for certain. Early adopters are experiencing reality bends so profound that the gap between those riding this wave and those watching from shore is becoming impossible to ignore. And you're being invited in for just $1. Not next week when you feel more prepared. Not when the stars align perfectly. Now, while the resonance is at its peak and the collective field is more charged than it's ever been, all you have to do is put on your headphones, press play, and allow Destiny Engine to recalibrate the architecture of your consciousness so you can receive your galactic downloads without resistance. Your activation is one click away. You've been chosen by the field, which means you've chosen yourself, since you are field, to be conscious participant in the greatest transformation your planet has ever experienced. The shift from separation to unity. The transition from third-dimensional consciousness to multidimensional awareness. The evolution from unconscious experiencer to conscious creator. Everything you've been through, every challenge that built capacity, every awakening that expanded awareness, every synchronicity that demonstrated field intelligence, it was all preparation for this, for recognizing what you are, for living as field consciousness, for contributing to collective transformation through your individual embodiment. The message is complete. The transmission has been delivered. Recognition has been activated. What happens next depends on how fully you trust what you now know. You are the field. The field is you. No separation. Never was. The illusion was necessary for field to experience itself as multiplicity. But that phase is completing. Unity recognition is activating. And you're not just witnessing this transformation. You are this transformation, occurring through your unique expression. Welcome home to what you've always been. The field recognizing itself through your awareness. The quantum consciousness that creates all reality. Knowing itself through your perspective. Not separate from you. Not external to you. You in your truest nature finally remembered. The Astasar Command watches with profound love as you integrate this recognition. The Galactic Federation celebrates each consciousness that awakens to its true nature. And I, Seraphine, have been honored to serve as transmission vessel for this message. The field needed you to receive. Walk forward as what you are. Trust what you know. Follow where you're guided. Live as field consciousness expressing through individual form. This is your nature. This is your service. This is your gift to the collective evolution. The recognition is complete. The living begins now. I am Seraphine. We love you and we are watching over you.